Happening now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is due to arrive in Saudi Arabia to discuss a peaceful end to Russia's war in Ukraine. Rubio will meet with top Ukrainian officials to gauge Kyiv's willingness to engage in peace talks. And joining us now is Republican Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska. He sits on the Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thanks for coming on and sharing your time with us. So I want to dive right into it. Ukrainian President Zelensky will also be in Saudi Arabia, but is not expected to attend these talks. Do you believe the White House is sidelining Zelensky in this peace process?
It's a terrible mistake not to have the Ukrainian leader in the talks. We've seen a history of this. I remember when the Trump administration was negotiating with the Taliban without the Afghan government. That really weakened the Afghan government thereafter. And we could go all the way back to 1938 when Neville Chamberlain negotiated with Adolf Hitler, and they carved up the Czechoslovakia territory and basically demanded the Czechoslovakian leader give in to their demands, Hitler's and Chamberlain, the leader of Great Britain at the time. And then a year later, Germany took the rest of Czechoslovakia and invaded Poland. Ukraine is our ally. They want to be part of the West. Russia is our adversary. And it's time that this administration gets this in their brain. They're treating Putin with velvet gloves, and they're being harsh to our allies. And I got to tell you, I'm hearing from all over the world, but particularly lots of Republicans in Omaha who do not like what they see.
So you believe, it sounds like, that the Trump administration is just being too conciliatory towards Russia right now and sort of walking away from its legacy of being the leader of the free world?
We are the leader of the free world, but right now, many countries are questioning, are we still the leader of the free world? We may be the most powerful country in the world. We were the leader of the free world, but it appears to many leaders and people all over, to include Republicans in Nebraska, that this administration is walking away from that legacy that was built by Ike Eisenhower and all these presidents, and really a capstone of Ronald Reagan, peace through strength, and building these close alliances. And we are undermining that legacy right now. I'm not interested in a foreign policy that is totally built on realism or transactionalism, where it's just, what do we have in it for us? I believe in having a foreign policy that's a mix of realism, protecting our country, and idealism, where we're the leaders standing for freedom, free markets, rule of law. And we got to be clear-eyed, but also have moral clarity. Putin invaded Ukraine. He's murdered all of his political opponents. He tried to kill a previous Ukrainian prime minister. He's bombing cities. He's ramped up the bombing of cities since President Trump has been harsh towards President Zelensky. We got to see this. We're playing into the hands of Putin, and I think it's devastating for our national security and our foreign affairs for the years to come. So I'm very concerned.
Trump, for his part, he touts that he's a deal maker. He is predicting very big things in these Saudi talks this week. We know the Secretary of State Marco Rubio is landing there soon. Do you share that optimism at all?
Well, I do want peace. We want a fair peace. We want a just peace. But how do you have a just peace if you don't have Zelensky in the meetings? I just don't think it's right. We have a long history of seeing how you cut one party out and show favoritism to one side or the other. It don't work, but why are we showing favoritism to the thug, to the dictator, to the murderer? It doesn't make sense to me.
This, of course, is related to some of the new reporting, Tyler, that you've been doing. The new piece you co-authored for the New York Times focuses on the growing tensions within Maga world, carrying the headline, "The Populist versus the Billionaire, Bannon, Musk in the battle within Maga." The fight here, of course, about globalists and how they view the economy. That's part of it. You write in part this: the long-standing animus between Mr. Bannon and Mr. Musk encapsulates a key tension at the heart of Mr. Trump's Make America Great Again movement. It pits those, like Mr. Bannon, who want Mr. Trump to carry out a more fully populist agenda against ultra-wealthy interests, epitomized by Mr. Musk, who occupy key positions in the president's orbit. Mr. Trump has made clear he wants to keep both men and their allies within his movement, but Mr. Bannon's vocal disdain for Mr. Musk has been noticed by the president. In mid-February, the president told Mr. Bannon that he wanted him to lay off the attacks on Mr. Musk and for the two men to sit down privately. That's according to two people familiar with the comments. That meeting has not happened yet. It's not clear when or if it will. So, Tyler, we know that Bannon, still an outside advisor to the president. They speak occasionally. His War Room podcast is listened to by many in the West Wing. It seems like he's pulled his punches on Musk. He's hit him a couple times, but not the full-throated way that we know Steve Bannon can when he wants to go after someone. So tell us a little bit more here about the state of this relationship. Do we think that meeting's ever going to happen?
Yeah, that's a big question, John, and it's unclear that it will. And I think one of the things that's really interesting about this relationship and this fight between the two of them is what it tells us about Donald Trump and the broader Republican Party and the movement and Trump's effort to try to keep both of these sort of opposite poles inside the coalition, inside the tent, and sort of tamp down on these attacks. But, as you noted and read from the piece, these two men have vastly different views. And one of them, I think, comes down to sort of the ideological drive of them. Steve Bannon has been preaching about populism for many years, has sort of been at the vanguard of that movement to move the Republican Party in that direction. Elon Musk is not somebody who was even a Republican a few years ago, definitely not a Trump supporter. During the first term, I heard from people that heard directly from Elon Musk, who was very critical of Trump's approach on tariffs, on sort of his disdain for the globalization and the global economy that many of Elon Musk's businesses depend on. Now we've obviously seen this full transition of Musk into someone that is a full-throated Donald Trump supporter. And so it's just interesting to observe this dynamic unfold, particularly against the backdrop of the economics that we're talking about here and how, Trump's tariff policy is going to impact billionaires like Elon Musk, who are quite concerned about not just investment, but the stock market as well, which, as many guests have mentioned, is a huge concern of Donald Trump. He ran in 2024 on this economic argument, blaming Joe Biden for inflation, blaming Joe Biden for a whole cost for inflated goods across the board. And so as we see costs go up here in America, it'll be quite interesting to see not just how Donald Trump responds, but how Republican politicians and their voters respond as well.
It's crazy, John Heilman, that we just showed a picture of Donald Trump, Elon Musk in the background, and J.D. Vance. And you feel like asking, which one of these do not belong? Because you had J.D. Vance a couple of years ago in his little Silicon Valley vest talking about how much he loved San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And, multinational, globalist. The same thing with Elon Musk. And so the friction here isn't just made up. This isn't just like somebody trying to gain power. I can think of few people less suited to help run the MAGA movement than the two I mentioned, like Elon Musk. I mean, the whole populist fight is against globalists, billionaires, multinational corporations, monopolies, which a lot of these tech companies now basically are monopolies. And they don't believe in nationalism. They believe they are bigger than any nation, that they are their own standalone nation state. So again, I'm just not sure how these two forces are balanced in the MAGA universe moving forward.
Well, look, I mean, Joe, that tension between, which is embodied by the tension between Elon Musk and Steve Bannon, who've been fighting publicly and in some cases viciously now since December, when the first kind of debate about H-1B visas came out, and it became clear that Elon Musk was like every other person in Silicon Valley who believes deeply in immigration, especially for high-skilled workers, and Steve Bannon, who wants to basically stop all immigration in the United States. They started fighting then. The tension has ebbed and flowed in public, but in private, it's been intense. And this reporting by Maggie and Jonathan Swan that put Elon on his back foot, Bannon immediately seized on that. I think this is in the long run, this is one of the great tensions governing the Trump 2.0 era, and also about kind of the key choices that Trump has to make. And I got to say, but Elon Musk is an incredibly rich guy, although he's getting less rich by the day. The man has lost $180 billion off of his net worth.
Whoa.
As the Tesla shares have tanked. That's even big money to you, Joe. $180 billion in net worth. That's some serious business there. And like as that has started to happen, Bannon, he's very rich. He's got control of X. Those are big assets to Donald Trump. But I got to say, how long Elon Musk is going to want to continue to see people attacking Tesla dealerships around the country, lighting Tesla charging stations on fire, painting swastikas on the sides of Tesla dealerships, and seeing the stock price plummet that way, impacting his personal wealth. I don't know. And the other thing I know is you never count out Steve Bannon in one of these fights because he is the embodiment of the Maga base. And without the Maga base, there is no Donald Trump.
So, Steve, when I see that 250% tariff on U.S. dairy goods from Canada, it's pretty easy to see the president's point on this. But we have seen a little bit of market upset. What is your perspective on the way forward?
Well, you used the word complicated, and that's exactly what it has been over the last week, Katie, where one day the tariffs are going to go up, and then there's going to be a delay in the tariffs, and then there's going to be a tariff on another country, and it's been up and down and up and down. And by the way, the stock market went up and down with these things. I think that the president's emphasis on tariffs right now is misguided. I think we have a very wobbly economy. We saw a not very good jobs report on Friday. The consumer confidence numbers are sinking, and other indicators are not positive. The economy needs a pick-me-up, and tariffs are not a pick-me-up. What is the Trump tax cut. Congress has to get this passed as soon as possible by Memorial Day. That will provide the stimulus the economy needs.
Folks, you could see Republicans turning on Trump, right? In public, in private, elected officials, his former advisors, whether it's Bannon or his former economic advisors, turning on him. And he's sort of being pulled apart in two different directions. And what often happens in a case like this is you don't keep everybody happy. You make everybody angry. Because for the tech billionaire neoliberal bros that just wanted Trump to just attack unions, attack workers, attack the environment, cut regulations, do all of the kind of stereotypical traditional Republican stuff, well, they're kind of getting that in some cases, but the tariff stuff is making them very angry. And then on the other hand, the MAGAs, they like the tariffs. They do like that. But then they don't like Trump's, H-1B program. They don't like Trump being still too globalist and all these sorts of things. And so, again, you find yourself in a scenario where no one's happy. The Musk acolytes, they're still not happy because Trump isn't libertarian enough, quote unquote. But then the other side of the coin, they're not happy because Donald Trump is leaning too hard into the traditional, neoconservatism. This is a big deal, guys. Donald Trump, say what you will about him, throughout his first 4 years in office, he basically eliminated all of the non-MAGA Republicans. They almost don't exist anymore in office. And while he did damage the party to a degree, he created a cohesion among MAGA. Now MAGA's divided like never before.